Hi Flosstube, welcome to my channel. I'm Nancy, So Cozy Stitching, and you can follow me on Instagram at So Cozy Stitching. I need to do a little bit of housekeeping first of all. So I believe it's been almost a month since my last video. 2 weeks ago I recorded a video. I could not get it to upload at all. Could not get it to upload. So let me kind of do a little bit of a backstory. A couple of months ago, I switched internet companies, and I did it for mostly because the company that I had did not have unlimited data. We stream all of our devices on our TV, all of our TV we stream, and then I have grandkids that have tablets, and they're on the Xbox, and anyway, I didn't have um, enough data to support all that, and my internet company was going to charge me extra. So I started searching around for internet companies, and I found one that I could get unlimited data with, and it was actually quite a bit cheaper every month. So I went with them, and went to upload my first video, which was the same day that they hooked up my internet. And I started it, and then I went in and I think turned Netflix on or something, and it kept kicking me out of Netflix. I'm like, what is going on? Anyway, so I ended up getting that video uploaded, but I started it when I went to bed, and it was, I don't know, the next morning. It took 10 hours to upload that video. Let's just put it that way. So, okay, didn't think anything of it. I thought, okay, I'll just upload my videos at night before I go to bed. When I get up, they should be ready to publish, right? So I did another video, and it took me actually 2 or 3 days to finally get it to upload. So I called my internet company, and I'm like, okay, I called the tech guy. I said, what's going on? Why are these not loading or, uploading? And he says, because I don't have enough upload speed to support an hour video. And I'm like, okay. He says, we can upgrade you, but by upgrading me, it would put me back up into the same price range. And this is a hobby. I don't want it to cost me $30 a month to upload a video. So I told him no. So I asked him, what can I do? And he says, well, you could do a 15-minute to a 20-minute video, and it would work. You shouldn't have any problems. So I'm okay. That's what I'll do. So if you are seeing this, what I've been thinking about in my head worked. So I thought, okay, I could do 2 or 3 15 to 20-minute videos, and you're just going to have to see my videos in parts, part 1, 2, and maybe part 3. So I hope everyone doesn't mind, but I think that's what's going to end up being, is I'm going to end up having to do shorter videos. And because I'm doing shorter videos, maybe I'll just do one and then pop on more often during the month, or I may just do parts 1, 2, and possibly 3 a couple of times a month or once a month. So I hope everybody's okay with that. It's the best I can do. It's the best I can do. So I have today to show you some FFOs, finishes, a quilt. I'm going to show you a quilt. That's another thing. I did a video to do my quilts, and it was the video that wouldn't upload. I had a little bit of stitching in it, and then my quilts that I had finished recently. And anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'll just show one quilt every video till they're all shown. So anyway, so I have a quilt to show, and I have some whips to show, and I have my plans for April that I'm going to talk about. So let's get started. I'll stop this video and then just pick up right off where I left off with the next video. So hopefully this all works. Keep your fingers crossed for me. Okay, so as I've explained before, I do a morning stitch, and I stitch between 30 minutes to an hour every morning. And that's kind of how I get my day up and going. because, you know, a lot of people get up, have a cup of coffee, whatever. I don't drink coffee. So I get up and I stitch for 30 minutes to an hour. And what I'll usually do is just pop on a Flosstube video that maybe has uploaded overnight that's come up in my feed. And I'll just watch it and just do a morning stitch. And my 2 morning stitches is the Prim Stitch series by Lori Holt. And then my other one is the Little House Needleworks monthly series. And those are the ones where you bought the floss pack and then it came with the free chart. And I've had those in my stash for a long time, so this is the year I decided they are going to be done. And I had an idea of how I wanted to fully finish them. So I have fully finished them. This is January. Let's see if I go over here. Well, trying to keep the window. So there's January. And I wanted them just a simple finish, finished as a quilt. And I'll show you how I display them in just a moment. And this is the back. It is stitched on 14 count Aida that just was in my stash, and obviously all the called for colors because it was the chart pack. And then I just finished it with a little, I think they're called bulb pins. They're shaped like a light bulb with 2 rusty jingle bells on it. And then here is February's. Also 14 count Aida fabric for my stash. This one I actually dyed a pink, a light pink color. And I just finished it with another bulb pin, put some buttons on it, and a baker's twine bow. And then here's March. So I have a shelf that hangs by my front door, and it has old-fashioned doorknobs on it. And I wanted something to hang off of it. So I asked my husband to make me this hanger. So he made me this little hanger. And then I just used some clothespins, and I hang these on one of those little knobs. This one I finished again with a bulb pin and just a couple of buttons. And that's the back. So, yeah. Cute. So that's finish number 1. Finish number 2, I showed this in my last video. It is by it's a Lizzie Kate, and it's one of her flip it, I think it's the charm flippets. It did come with little charms. I did have the charms attached, but because of how I finished this, I took the charms off. When I showed this well, I think I had already tea-dyed it. It was originally white 14 count Aida. I stitched this back in 2006, so it's been, what, 20 years ago? Or 15 years ago. 15 years ago. Math is not my friend. I'm just saying, math is not my friend. All right, so it was white. I had taken pastel-y, springy colors, and I had airbrushed it with acrylic paints, and then I stitched on it. But it just wasn't my style anymore, so I dipped it in tea, and I spritzed it with, it's called Antiquing Spray. It's by Primitive Gatherings. You can buy it at any quilt shop, probably has it. And I made it into a sewing roll. So I just tied it with some ribbon. So this is what it looks like. This is all using fabric in my stash. Everything that I used to make this I had in my stash. So that's what it looks like. And then this is the inside. I just sewed on some wool pieces and attached some buttons, added some pins. This is twill tape that looks like a measuring tape. And then I just sewed on some lace just to give it some more interest, and then I made some pockets for it. There's three or four pockets here. There's 4 pockets. And then I just added some little doodads, some needles, and some thread to it. So, and someone, I posted this on the Lizzie Kate Facebook group, and someone asked me, do you have a pattern? No, I don't. I didn't have a pattern. I just made it up as I went. So there you go. So a good way to finish an old cross stitch. All right, the next thing I finished is this. This is American Farmhouse by the Scarlet House. This is a thrift store frame. I had a problem finding a frame for this because all the frames I found would fit it up and down, but it was either too short or too long going across, or it fit perfect across, but it was too short or too tall. So I decided just to add some fabric here. So I just sewed on a piece of fabric. I made a quilt out of these fabrics, and they're just out of my stash. And then this was a thrift store frame that was gold, and I painted it black, and then I just sanded it down so some of the gold was still shine through. And I pinned it onto foam core. This was on 14 count Aida. I don't know the color. It's American Farmhouse. Right, and then my other FFO is this. This is called Needle and Thread, and it's by With Thy Needle and Thread. It is stitched on 14 count Mellow by Picture This Plus. It's a really buttery yellow color. It is so pretty. This is probably my favorite stitch of everything I've stitched recently. It is using my thread conversion because I use DMC, but it's still close to the colors of the called for colors on the pattern. And then I use some antique buttons for the buttons on the flowers. And then this frame was a thrift store frame, and it had a piece of corkboard in it, and my husband cut the corkboard out. And then I painted it, and I wanted to get it the color of these birds. And it's kind of bright here, but in real life, it is the color of those birds. And what I did is I had an aqua paint, a sage green, a white, and I just mixed them together and just kept adding one or the other or whatever until I got the color I wanted. So I can't even tell you my formula for making the color. And again, put on foam board. I did put batting under this one, and the reason I did is because Picture This Plus Aida is really loose, I think, and so I didn't want, I wanted something behind it, so I just put a little piece of batting, and then I pinned it onto foam core. There you go. All right, well, okay, now let's go on to a couple of finishes. So my other morning stitch is the Prim series, and so I finished it. And while I'm doing this, I'm also doing the quilt block to match. So here's the quilt block. And I just applique these on with my machine. Now, I stitched the block first, and then I went and cut the pieces for the quilt, for the quilt block. And if I'd have done the quilt block first, I would have put her dress as maybe white, and made it resemble the quilt block more. So, but you can't go back, and I was not going to pick out all of that blue. So anyway, there's the Prim Stitch by Lori Holt. All right, the next thing I finished is, if you followed me on my journey on the stockings, I finished the last stocking in the month of March. I don't have it with me. Sorry, didn't bring it. But now I'm to the point where I'm adding the names and all of the bling that's on the stockings. And so it's kind of bittersweet as I've been doing these, because I know that my journey is coming to an end on these. So there's it. If you can see all of the bling on there. But she's got beads in her dress, and there's charms and buttons. This is 2021 charm. I am adding to all of them. I have stitched my initials and the year that I completed the stitching, but I wanted something to commemorate the year that I actually made them. And so I'm putting a 2001 charm on every one of them. And this one belongs to my husband. All the buttons. These are all buttons on the tree, and then there's charms. There's a charm there. There's a heart button on the antler. There's bells on the reindeer. And then this one. Buttons up in here. And a button on his chin, on his cheek. There's beads and charms and everything. And there's the 2001 charm. I don't know. You can see these. It's hard to show them. Anyway, so I have 3 done with the charms. So yeah. Anyway, it's been quite a journey, but it's also bittersweet because they're going to be done. They're going to be all done. All right, I'm going to stop this part of the video here, and I will be right back with what I've been working on.